You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Bar Rescue After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Bar Rescue After Show.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have our kilts on.
Oh.
Is that what you call those things? Those dresses,
Yes.
skirts,
Slug
skirts?
dancing?
Yes.
Yes. Little bagpipes going.
Yes.
This always reminds me of when I was a little kid.
The bagpipes?
Yeah,
Or
and
the
all that
music?
stuff. My family's very Irish.
Oh.
So it's,
like this.
yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody. Hey there, Bing is for doing it, and we are doing another episode of Bar Rescue. We are on season 2, and this is episode 6 called Broke Black Sheep. I'm your host, Kimlai, and in the studio, I have my co-host, 2 co-hosts tonight. Go ahead and introduce yourself, madame.
Hi, I'm Dorinda Barker. Hi.
Hello, I'm Nancy Hadley.
And Nancy is the design expert from Bar Rescue, so we're so glad to have her here with us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. And again, very happy, Dorinda, that you're here with me tonight. So very happy. And we know you're watching, Brian Duffy.
Brian.
Hi. Okay, this, I actually tweeted John this morning. And told him that this was my favorite episode so far. I mean, I know we haven't watched the whole season yet.
Yeah.
But so far, this is my favorite episode. Marissa, can we get the volume off on that one? This was my favorite episode so far just because of the dynamics of this one. And I was just telling Nancy at the beginning that, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4, since we haven't done 2 yet. It seems like, it's the food, and then it's the bar, and then it's the aesthetics of the place. And that seemed to be the structure that it was going to keep all season. And then we had Aura, which, wow, I mean, that the whole thing changed with that, the strategy.
Yes.
And then now this one, it seemed more about, the owners, the people, and the morale of the employees, and
that's so important. And to be honest with you, with the owners, Scott had seemed to given up, but the employees didn't seem to have given up.
Yeah, they were still on board.
They were still on board, because normally it starts from the top, but they weren't giving up, which was amazing, which I loved seeing.
That's the one. When you just said that, the top. Earlier, we were trying to figure out, I thought John was a little too intense for no reason on this one at the very beginning. And it's funny because he tweeted this morning and he goes, well, did you notice that I didn't yell on this one? But it's like, well, yeah, kind of did at the beginning. He was a little assertive and it didn't seem to really fit. They hadn't really done anything wrong yet. But he was getting assertive about the whole, it comes from the top and this is why.
Responsibility. That's what he was getting
that
mad
we were
about.
trying to figure out why he got so, and it's like, oh, I'm going to figure it out.
Because the owner was coming up with excuses, and that is a pet peeve of John's for sure.
Oh, he
That's
hates
exactly
excuses.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So, here we go. We're going to dive into the episode.
Let's do it.
All right.
Quite an episode.
So, should we start? Let's kitchen. We'll go into the
Dirty.
Welcome, Marissa. This is Marissa's first time engineering this show. So I don't know what to expect with y'all for this show. We're just gonna make it up as we go. Let's go into the kitchen. I know that Chef Duffy was a little miffed.
He was not happy.
No.
Ugh.
And that was pretty gross. He was talking about the smell, which you had talked about it a few episodes ago, that you can smell a bar, like right when you walk in, you can smell, especially a dive bar. And so he had made that comment. So it's like, that's what Dorinda said that too.
Yeah.
The grease, you guys, when he took the spatula, which is an amazing cleaning tool, by the way. I'm learning so much on Bar Rescue, and I'm going to start using my spatulas to scrape. Wow.
I don't want him to come see my stuff.
That was pretty amazing. I'm like, I'm learning so much from watching this show. But when he scraped it, and then he scraped the walls, and then they did the close-up shot.
Nasty.
Okay, Bar Rescue is making me actually not want to eat bar food, I have to say.
You get over it because you get hungry. I'm just gonna tell you.
Well, that's true. Drinks, food.
Exactly. The alcohol makes, wipes out anything that was bad.
Yeah.
Well, the mold spores. He was talking about the mold spores, too, in the refrigerator. And that was kind of scary to think about.
That was, to me, I was like, that is just, all I kept thinking was damaging. That's all I kept thinking. The word just kept permeating in my head the whole time watching that. Going, how could someone let that go to that point? And there was always an excuse of why they let it go to that point. And the excuse wasn't good enough. It was never good enough. Excuses are never good enough anyway. But
that bothered me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is your kitchen. I mean, it doesn't matter what's coming down from above. You need to take some ownership. This is a reflection on you.
Why don't we even start with, and by the way, he has many redeemable qualities, our little Billy.
He was one of my favorites. You said he was one of yours,
one of my favorites so far this season. But the first moment you see him, he's in the back patio, he's smoking, he gets up, and they're like, is that a spatula? No, it is a cat litter scooper. And he's scooping. It was just, I was like, by the way, and then goes and cooks something and doesn't have gloves on.
Right. Did he wash his hands?
You only hope he washed his hands.
Exactly. You go, there's no way that nobody, no, he would have washed his hands. But in the back of my head, I was like, maybe he didn't.
You hope he did.
I hope he did.
I would think he did. I'm going he did.
I'm going he did.
But that was gross. The cigarette butts, the kitty litter scooping.
Yeah.
That was a little.
And, and then when John and Chef Duffy both said he should be fired. He should go. I mean, and then Scott said, I stand behind him. And then he does redeem himself.
He does.
He has a great heart.
Yes.
I thought Taffer was a little too. Yeah. I mean, the guy didn't know any better yet, it seemed. He definitely stepped up. We're talking about Billy, by the way, but he definitely stepped up. But I thought he was he came out a little too assertive from the get-go with him.
Well, Brian was done with him when he first started talking about it.
To be honest, I'm on their side with this one. I really am. I'm on their side with this one.
You don't want raw chicken? You don't want kitty litter?
No, I don't. I just don't. And they saw that. I think that's what really enraged them, is they saw that on the videotape while they were doing their surveillance.
Right.
And coming from a place where, Brian's a great chef, and he probably is like, how could you? How could you? Because you're disrespecting what I do. You're disrespecting what any chef does, or even a cook does, because that's what he was. He was a cook and everything. But, he did stay overnight into the day, and he cleaned that place like no one's business.
I didn't see that coming at first. I was so glad he stepped up, and he was so willing.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point is when you could feel it through the TV, his passion for that kitchen. It's like John someone told him what to do. And I think a lot of times when you have employees, it's like, and this is why not every employee makes a good manager. Employees are employees for a reason, and they need to be directed. They need to be told what to do. Not in a bad way, but that's why you're a bar owner. That's why you're the manager, so you can guide them.
Yeah,
and
you're the leader.
Yes, and when he got that leadership from John, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Yeah. When he told him, even though he's like, you better get that
Nobody bloomed. He was getting it. He understood.
And that was amazing. And you just, it just broke my little heart.
There's your heart.
Yeah, and each episode, there's always the one that you really, you bond with. You bond with.
Yeah.
But this one, but Billy, hands down, you're my favorite.
For sure. I was so glad, too, when John came back the next morning, and he was like, oh, well, I cleaned this, and I've cleaned this, and I was like, oh, my God. John's going to find a spot that he didn't clean.
Oh.
I so thought that was going to happen. It was like, it's too good right now. It's too good. Oh,
You're happy it stayed
I'm
home.
so glad. And then it seemed like it was good. The rest of the show was good.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous because I was feeling for this person in the kitchen.
And he wanted to please. He really did.
I'll say.
Yeah, and I thought it was one of those bar restaurants where there was only one cook again, but I guess there was a few.
There's a lot of support.
Oh,
I think,
okay.
in there. Billy was really running it, and
Okay.
there were a lot of people backing him.
Which is good.
Well, I was glad when Chef Duffy created some high-end sandwiches for them. They looked so good. I was watching it. I actually watched it this morning at 5 a.m. And it's like, oh, that food looks so delicious.
It was.
Oh yeah, you guys get to
I
taste
tasted
everything,
it,
huh?
yes.
Is his cooking?
Oh, it's amazing.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a great chef.
I so wanted to comment. I saw the other day on Facebook. Someone said, it was a joke, Chef Duffy. Actually, it was a comment after his comment, and they said, "Who is Chef Duffy? Is he a chef?"
Oh, that was off of one of my.
Yes, it was one of you. Was it Laura Good? Or
Heather
it was
Spilsbury.
Heather. Okay.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
so was gonna comment, but it's like we don't know each other that well yet, Chef Duffy.
Oh, and she was messing with
so gonna
him.
say-
She was
Yes, it was a
'cause,
joke.
yeah,
It was totally a joke.
total joke.
I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's like the top chef over at Denny's, and he created their exquisite menu. We know you've probably never worked at Denny's.
The Grand Slam.
Right. The Duffy Grand Slam, $3.99 from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. Just kidding. What did you guys? Okay, so we know how you felt about Billy. What was it like for you to be there and you see this? I mean, I know we don't see a lot of things.
Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel the energy. You can feel the tension and the nervousness of the staff. Having met them, they really loved that place. And they wanted it to work out, and everyone seemed to be a really hard worker every time I was in there, and I was impressed by that. They gave us ice cream. They were just really friendly, wonderful people, and you want them to succeed, and I really, really wanted them to succeed.
I did too.
Yeah, you felt for him, even though you wanted to, he's calling in, but I mean it in a nice way. You wanted to strangle Scott when you found out they were so in debt.
Yeah.
So in debt.
Yeah, I posted that picture today with big $700,000 right
It's
across
like taking the
his
kids'
face.
college fund and gambling it away. I mean, it was tough to see that.
5 kids' college funds.
Yeah, that's a yeah. That's for your whole brood.
Yeah, I could live off that.
Tough business.
Yeah, it's
And raise a family in it.
yeah. The thing about it is that we've talked about this plenty of times over and over and over again by doing this, and he said the same thing that a lot of the other people who have owned bars who've been on this show said. I just wanted to open a bar.
Yeah.
And that was on there too, and didn't think about.
Thought it could just run itself.
It'd
Exactly.
be fun. Oh, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. You guys, for those of you listening and watching, we have Scott calling in actually about 7:30 in the next 15 minutes. We're going to have him, we're going to get him on the line and talk to him about his experience with John and Nancy and the crew and Chef Duffy and see what he has to say about himself.
Yeah. And how he's doing. I want to know how he's doing.
Yeah, right? I think he'll be excited to talk to you too.
Should I get out of here?
What did you think of the bar? Am I missing anything with the kitchen?
No, I think we're
feel like
pretty. I mean, when we go into everything else, we'll probably talk about Billy again and how.
Oh yes,
there's so much more.
out of the kitchen with him.
Comes
Yeah.
to him that he really loves.
Yeah.
So the bar. Let's now go into the bar. You guys were all there. We saw all of you and the crew. This is more your special. What did you think? Can I just tell you real quick? I was surprised. I didn't realize that when you turn the glasses over and there's still a little bit of the water, the residue, from the moisture.
Yes.
That it could harbor crap.
Yeah, it's like a
mold
terrarium.
and all that. I had no idea. I thought it would
Yeah.
just eventually dry. I mean, it's sitting on those little things with the holes.
A lot of stuff
The
in
mats.
the air that'll just stick to that.
Yeah, and what you're doing is especially if you're taking the top glass, putting it on top of another glass, you're enclosing that moisture. Now, with water and anything in this world, there's little microorganisms, bacteria, and so if it doesn't have its own time to dry, which it's not because it's already closed in there, who knows?
Well, how much
Could
of
be a
that
fun
do you
factory.
think, though, it would take for someone? I'm sure we've all been out and about, and the glasses have been like that, but we've never gotten sick. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well,
Well, you never
felt
think
sick
about that.
after going somewhere.
I'm just saying.
Backtrack. Think about it.
Well, I thought it was something else, but
I'm going to dry my cups better, though, at home. I'm just telling you.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm learning a ton. Okay, I keep pointing at you. I'm learning a ton from watching these episodes. I have to say, a
Yeah.
ton. I still want one of those little balls to go inside my bottle because I have so many bottles at home. I don't know what I'm saying. Like
Oh,
if
to
I have a
tell you
party,
how to-
one of
Yeah,
those,
those
that
things
was
are
such a
great.
cute little gadget. Okay, so back to the bar
Yeah.
on this episode.
I mean, there is so many things. Like when it was
Say it,
Peter.
Dorinda.
It was Peter.
Oh, yeah, when he...
When he went into the beer cooler and just went like this.
That was gross.
And
brown slime, it looked
yeah,
like
it was
something.
just gunk upon gunk upon gunk, and that was never cleaned. Now
Ever.
that bar, like inside there, you open it up, you probably had like this smell. Now when you're not cleaning anything, as we saw with even the pit,
Yeah. Yes.
the pit, and they would, and the way that I think that bar cooler was too.
Oh, that was nasty.
That was nasty. What they're probably doing, and I'm not saying that that's what they were doing, was just stocking beer on top of beer on top of beer instead of what you do is rotate
So
your
you get the
beer.
bottom.
Yeah, so you take the bottom and put it to the top.
That makes sense.
So because there's expiration dates on beer and
Right.
stuff. But once I saw that, I was like, if they ever got to the bottom, I feel sorry for the people that would get that beer because you don't know. I mean, because they break. It's glass. I mean, there's, but excuse me. But sorry, it just was. I was really grossed out by that, and as the bar staff, though, they really did love their bar. And the one girl, and excuse me for not knowing your name, I'm so sorry, but that's where she got her start and really loved that place and loved being there. And then they just didn't know, they weren't guided right. They didn't really know many recipes. They did the same thing as a lot of bars do. They pour heavy on the liquor, light on the other things, so you're just getting a heavy drink, which people think that that's a great way to go.
Right.
But
You feel like you're getting your money's worth.
yeah, but you're not gonna
a mistake.
spend you're not gonna spend as much. And B, or maybe I'm getting older, I'd rather have a drink that tastes good
Yes.
than a drink that
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah, every time. I'd rather where it's very balanced and not where something's overpowering the other. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, they really had heart, so I can't really say anything really bad about the bar this time. I mean, they wanted to learn.
Yes.
And they wanted more out of this bar. And they really wanted it to work for everybody involved, which is such a different... not different, but I saw it more with this episode than any other episode, I think. Everybody has loved their restaurants or their bars, but this time there was so much more heart, and I really
That's
loved
why
it. Yeah.
This was definitely, so far, my favorite one. Because
You could feel the community and family in
Yes.
this one.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's the firefighting or the community service or what it was, because they were invested in each other and the community and bringing something that was good for everyone. They were trying so hard. They just needed they needed some help desperately.
Yeah, I thought Scott's call in to John, getting him on board, was really good. Do we have him on the line? Ah, he's on the line. That's perfect.
I'm on.
How are you? Oh my gosh, we're just getting ready to talk about legal loan sharking. What perfect timing.
I can guide you.
Hi, Scott. Hey, everybody that's
Hi, how are
listening.
you? Is that Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy's
I'm over here.
Yes. You're talking. We got Nancy here and Dorinda and Kimlai, and welcome to AfterBuzz. Thank you so much for letting us have some of your time this evening.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll tell you, last night was exciting for us. We had fun.
Awesome. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about the name. Did you go back to the Black Sheep?
Well, and that's what I don't know exactly what to do. I've had overwhelming number of people that are in our area that are saying, hey, why don't you try to combine them, bring back the Black Sheep? There was so much meaning behind it. They really didn't touch on the true meaning of the Black Sheep, but so there's a lot of people that want to see us bring back the old name, but I really like the idea of the new name. So we haven't committed to anything yet, but it is something we're thinking about doing.
Do you want our opinion?
You know what? I would love to see a big opinion, but yeah, I want your opinion.
I love the name, the Black Sheep. And Nancy was saying earlier, well, we noticed too on the reveal after she went through and redesigned the place on the inside, there's sheep everywhere.
I wanted you to have your sheep.
She set us up to bring it back if we wanted to.
Exactly.
I knew you were bonded to the name, so I didn't want you to lose it completely. But the public house is a great name.
And you did such a good job with, even if we didn't bring it back, it still had that memory,
Good. Because, John, he didn't want to strip you of your identity. Let's face it, you weren't the Pirates. You guys had a different investment in your business, and so it was inspiring to see what you were trying to do. And I personally didn't want to strip it all away. I don't think John did either. I think he wanted to give you a new identity, so to create excitement and get the community around you, so it could be very, very specific for you guys.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
On his behalf, you're welcome.
So what is the true meaning behind the Black Sheep?
Yeah, tell us the story.
Well, Cincinnati's made of 7 hills, and I really tried to come up with a name that people could just get a hold of and really enjoy. So the 7 hills of Cincinnati's Walnut Hills, Western Hills, Price Hill, Indian Hill. Well, Cheviot is actually named after Cheviot Hills in Scotland. The person that founded it named it after the Cheviot Hills in Scotland. The Cheviot Hills in Scotland got its name from all the sheep on a hill. If you play the crossword puzzle, a type of sheep is a Cheviot. Now, when these sheep got close to the snow cap, the herders had trouble spotting them. So what they did is they put black ones in the mix to spot them.
Oh,
so with that being said, there's 13 bars in our one little square mile town. They can be the white ones, we'll be the black ones.
You wanted to stand out. I gotcha.
Love it.
So when I came up with, I spent hours upon hours mopping these floors and thinking, okay, I hated my location, but we were married to it because we got a mortgage and we got all this money invested into the building. But I thought, okay, what am I going to do if we ever decide to do another one? So then I was thinking, how am I going to, that's connected to Cheviot, right? How am I going to connect it if we put a Black Sheep in wherever, I don't know, Chicago, which we know that's not going to happen. But so then I started thinking about what's a Black Sheep? Someone who was willing to go against the grain, a standout. So then I was even thinking, I think I like that definition, okay? So I started thinking about famous Black Sheep, Christopher Columbus, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. These are all people, and there's a list a mile long of people who everybody challenged at that time in their life. They thought they were nuts. The world's not round, it's flat. You can't sail around it. They thought Christopher Columbus was nuts, so I came up with this famous Black Sheep idea, and then and at the end of it, I wanted to have be unique, be your own person. So that's where all that went.
Wow. Now I absolutely want to keep the Black Sheep. Absolutely. And if you do open up a bar in Chicago, then you can call it the other name that John came up with.
I'm not.
Look at that. He gave you a name.
We got a big mountain to climb of debt. But, Nancy and John and the whole staff, that was unbelievable. They threw us the rope, so we still got to do the work. We still got to, climb it. But, at least we got a little help.
Well, you were ready to grab the rope, and that's crucial for your recovery and your
There was no
success.
doubt. I think everybody that was that I've ever dealt with on the production crew knew, because the second they'd always ask for something, I'd usually have it to them within minutes.
Yeah, you did.
And I was always driving around like a nut to get to different places to obtain the information. But it was definitely fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun to work on your bar. It was great. What a great community and an honor. A friend of mine's a firefighter in Ohio, so he came out and helped on it. Anthony, I think you know Anthony. And it was a great experience.
Well, now Scott, are you still doing 3 jobs? Oh, just wondering.
Unfortunately, I am.
He'd have to be.
Oh, wow.
You know, I'm a little better. At first, I mean, the show comes in and it's like a whirlwind. I mean, it literally is as if you stepped from your TV in your living room into it and you're on set, and it's like, wow. So at first I was a little disappointed. You know, after the show left, I was sitting there thinking, okay, what did I learn? You know, and then all of a sudden it started clicking. You know, I basically watched John in motion. So mirroring him, I picked up a lot of just things on having presence. I got to have presence, and it's not just being there. Like the employees and everybody has to know that, hey, we're really serious about making this thing work. Customer service is crucial. So I learned mainly from him presence, and then with them giving a score, which is like a business mentorship program, I've been picking up a lot. But we're not out of the woods yet, and I'm still doing carpet jobs.
Well, you got to pay the bills. You know, you got to do what you have to do. Now, what about the legal loan sharking, which apparently I started realizing today that I think I might be in the wrong business because there's so many of you out there. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder. I mean, having a business background, how you get so desperate that you feel that is your only option to go that
I mean,
route.
we were literally to the point where, I mean, I would pull up and Duke Energy would be getting ready, which is a utility company, would be getting ready to shut us off. So I'd have to try to, you know, drum up money or, you know, to figure it out. So what happened was we got caught behind on taxes significantly. And, you know, no matter what, I had to come up with, you know, $10,000 in a matter of like a couple weeks, or we were going to get shut down.
Wow.
So that's where it starts. That's where it starts to where you're like, okay, what am I going to do? And then you got all these people saying, hey, we'll lend you money.
I wondered, did they approach you or did you approch them? Because people know, or these companies know.
It's no different than if you apply for a credit card and then you get 15 applications in the mail.
And then was there some debt consolidation as well that you were doing? Did that factor in as well?
No, for us, no.
So
it was
just
all
straight up.
Mainly everything was taxes.
Wow.
It was all taxes.
So are you guys...
Don't ever get behind in your taxes.
Tip, there you go.
Yeah.
Scott's tip of the day.
Great tip.
Are you free and clear now from those credit cards? I mean, have you found other... were you able to pay them off, and did you find other means, you know, to bring in...
I've got just a little bit to go on one of them. I mean, and they they get their money no matter what. So it's not about making a payment or something like that. They get it, but it's not near as bad as it was, without a doubt.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It served its purpose, though. You know, I mean, you know what, it stunk, but if we didn't have that,
You kept you in business. Yeah.
Right. And, you know...
And it's not like, you know, the show kind of put a spun on it, like I was like this... and it's, don't get me wrong, reality TV, this was without a doubt real. And everybody's asking me, is it real? Absolutely. The emotions, the reactions, everything about it was real. The people, the crew... but, you know, like Tommy and Greg, they knew about it, all this stuff, but they were so disconnected that they didn't know about it, you know.
Okay.
It wasn't registering?
Okay.
We wondered that, if they knew, like maybe we didn't see the behind the scenes of them getting really angry at you for doing something
pissed.
like that.
I was actually pissed because, you know, I got these guys, you know, that I'm telling them we're about to close, we're about to be broke, we're this, that, Duke Energy, and it's like, they would just let the electric get turned off.
Oh, interesting.
So when, you know, and so when the electric bill would get paid in order for it to get turned off, it was my carpet jobs paying for it, or my mom lending me money, or my wife lending me money, or Greg's mom even lent us money. And these guys were always just so disconnected financially that they didn't know about it. So when it came time to, like, pulling the trigger on a credit card loan, it was like, well, what does it matter? They don't give a shit.
Yeah. Just do it.
They did give a shit. They didn't realize you know, and I would try to say, you guys are going to lose everything you invested in this place.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and that's when my back was against the wall, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to get these guys to come in here and see if, you know, that's my last pitch effort.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. It really
so far,
did.
like I said, with the ropes there, now we're going to climb it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we're going to be fine.
I have a question for you. Are Greg and Tommy more involved now because of everything that did go down?
They are. And that's where I realized me being a little more involved with the interview process and the application process. They don't have the presence that I have when I walk in. Like, everybody, you know, knows things need to be a certain way. But Greg does all the sales and the receipts, like basically the P&L statements.
Yeah, good.
And Tommy now. I mean, Tommy's always been involved, but before he was mainly like he'd be involved as a barback. He'd come in, mop the floor, do dishes, take out the trash. You know, now he does a little more. Like he does all that, but then he runs food. So.
Well, so do you think the show was able to have them feel like, we know that the employees, their morale was obviously boosted during the show. Do you think that this show helped them feel the need and the want to take more ownership of what they've invested their money into?
Yes, I think so, and I think they knew that it was so important to me that I was willing to, you know, do everything to get you guys in here and try to make the best of it. And basically, I was taking one for the team, you know, in a nutshell. And I think
you did.
I always made a difference. I would never want to be in the alley with, you know, them two and a bunch of bad guys, because I'd be fighting by myself. But I think they saw that. You know, it took John to get in our ass, but, you know, they saw it. You know, and they felt it, and I think they did feel obligated and wanted to be a part of it.
So now that you have you gave managerial positions to some of the people that work there, do you find that everything is running better now?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's this is where the bridge I'm crossing now is. Now I'm just worrying about managing them. So, you know, I'm making sure that, you know, getting Natalie to take steps and being a good manager, and getting Billy to do the same. You know, that's been a lot easier to, you know, demand things out of them and then make sure that they, you know, follow through with it. But yeah, I mean, we're a lot more consistent. We're just that much more polished now.
Are you allowing more of their opportunity to be responsible?
What do you mean, responsible?
Well, I remember John talking about talking to your staff, and some of them felt like they didn't really have any power. It was just power in name. So are they being given more responsibility so they can take action, or are you still overseeing?
Yes, absolutely.
That's great.
And nobody's really had to. Yeah, actually, Natalie, you know, has had to actually let somebody go. But, you know, yeah, they can have all that power to do stuff. I want them to consult with not just me, but let's really sit and look at the situation and make sure it's the right thing to do. Because sometimes emotions get in the way, and you know, we don't want to make the right decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, very smart.
Well, Scott, do you have any final? We're gonna wrap up the
real quick. How was the Ireland trip? Yeah. They sent you all to Ireland.
Awesome. Like George Clooney's from Cincinnati, right? Mm-hmm. Fergal. It would have been like us going through Ireland with Fergal, who's the brewmaster. Mm-hmm. It'd be like walking around Cincinnati with George Clooney. I mean, it was like everybody was like loving this guy, you know, and he was really neat. And I mean, there's just so much history and stuff there. You know, and some of these buildings are 1,000 years old, and the castles, and
it's
it was
great.
Just really beautiful.
And I've done that Guinness tour. And it's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, when you guys were in the bar, it just brought me back when it was my last stop, and it was amazing. It was a great time. But when I saw you, I felt so happy for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible trip, you know. And that's, everybody keeps asking about the show. You know, oh, how did you guys do that in a day and a half? And I'm just saying, you know what, you got to come to the barn, I'll tell you.
There you go. Bring in the customers. Bring in the customers.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for calling in and giving some of your time with us this evening. We're definitely going to do a follow-up towards the end of our season with you guys and see where you're at then. But thank you so much for calling in. I hope you have a great night.
All right, Nancy, good talking to you. Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome.
Scott. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
I love those sounds. I wish I had more sounds. Okay, so we got the legal loan sharking. That's good. I really did want to know, because sometimes I wonder how desperate people have to get into that situation, because it just seems like, gosh, I would never. But then you don't know until you're in that situation. But it just seems like there's just so many other options.
But maybe not. I think he was backed against the wall. I think he had begged, borrowed, and hopefully not stolen from everyone he could think of. And he had to do something because he needed to save what he had already piled himself under.
Right.
It'd be overwhelming.
I'm glad that the employees didn't get discouraged.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he didn't get discouraged.
Well, it sounds like he didn't share that stress very openly, so they were not feeling it. It's kind of like the parent that doesn't tell the child about a desperate situation, so the child can continue to be happy and grow and have a good time. I mean, that was a gift he gave his employees.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that this show teaches us is, as an employee, when they're watching this, they get an idea of what does go on. Because like you said, they don't necessarily know that all the business, the business that goes on.
When your boss says,
with the
I'm
business.
overwhelmed, you can't just say, oh, you're lazy and you're doing nothing, because the boss has the weight of the world on their head.
No idea. Yeah. And this show really brings it out for the employees as well to see the business side,
which is
of
very
everything
good.
that goes on.
Yeah.
It's very true. Now, the show itself you do in 5 days.
Yes.
But this time you had 2 extra days.
Because I went to Ireland.
I tried to convince them that I should go to Ireland because I needed to do better research, but nobody was buying it.
No, they needed you back there designing. They're like, we gave you a gift. We gave you extra days.
I had to hide things from my team so they could get through it and not know the pain.
So while they were in Ireland,
yes,
you and John, or you and your team, then were able to reconfigure.
Yeah, there was a lot to do in there. I mean, you had the exterior, you had the interior, there was the patio, there was furnishings, there were wall treatments, different lighting. We were looking
up some of the, Marissa, the pictures from that were sent in.
Oh yeah,
of what she did, the after pictures.
Yeah,
of the inside of the facility.
Yes, but there was a lot to do, and to give them a new identity was so time consuming, because it reminded me of going into like a men's club that attempted to throw in some feminine elements to attract ladies,
right?
But not really successfully. No offense to anyone that was trying, they just didn't have the time, they didn't have the experience to do it right, and you could see right away that it was all over the map, but kind of, there were some features that were really nice. The back bar was beautiful. It was well built. The top of the bar, no. And the flooring, I was able to save it because it was going to work with the new feel, which was great for us because flooring is the kiss of death when we have to do flooring, and we've had to.
Do you have a limit, like a budget for each episode?
Of course I do, yes. And I have to stay within it unless 36 joists are compromised. So, I mean, it just depends on what's going on in the bar. But in the case of this one in particular, you could see the bones were there. There was a lot of potential, and we could get in the direction that John wanted by making some subtle changes and making some actually inexpensive changes. There were some elements that didn't make sense, and just with some plants, we were able to help one area not look like it was out of place. It read better from the bar, and it's in the pictures if they come up. But the bar top, I think, was the thing that we felt the best about.
I was just going to say something about that. I love that. I'd love to have that in my house.
I love that.
When I get a house.
We've used that. We used that on the Canyon Saloon as well. That same kind of that same kind of product. And it's very time consuming, and it's always very stressful. And I think I included a photo with the threat that was taped to the bar so that if anybody touched it, they would ruin the bar.
Well, how long does it have to sit? You said, what was it made out of?
24
you
hours.
Said it was
There was an epoxy coating. It's copper. It's treated copper, and then we have to seal it in with epoxy. The epoxy needs to set up, and it cannot be touched.
What happens if you touch it?
Well, on Kilkenny's, which became Breakwall, the mail person came in and set the mail on the bar, pulled our plastic away, and set the mail on the bar. And I spotted it before it all set, so I was able to pull it, but that mail would have been part of the bar for the rest of the bar's existence.
That would have been funny, but not funny.
It was not funny that day.
It would have been funny like later.
Our production coordinator started making notes that with very awful threats from me that what would happen to you if you touched the bar top when we had poured it.
So, but the copper, is it just that color? How do you get all
copper
this
sheeting, and they patina it, so they treat it with chemicals and or heat to get that look. So
love it.
We chose that because the color palette was so beautiful, and we also changed the color of the ceiling. And sometimes you won't see that because we have our studio lights and our shooting lights up in the ceiling, so you won't necessarily see what we've done. But we want to leave it with an atmosphere for the patrons, not just for the shoot. So
absolutely.
There was some fun with green. There was some fun with earth tones, and we kind of brought it all together on the bar surface. It was really, really beautiful. And then the sheep were what I
was just gonna say, the sheep wallpaper. That was wallpaper,
fun.
right?
Yeah, it was printed by the sign company that helped us with the signs, and we applied it to the wall.
It's like, are those sheep?
Yeah.
Those are all sheep. That's a lot of sheep.
You just needed to get the feel
walls.
running through the space.
I love it.
It was too expansively brown, and we wanted to get that rolling hills, the green feel, and I really wanted to get a black sheep.
I think you got it.
Well, good.
Yeah, you did.
The sheep.
I think you got it.
That in the patio.
The patio.
The patio. Oh my.
Oh yeah.
It was
beer garden.
It was so nice.
They were they using it before for customers, or was it more of an employee break room?
Tent out there and a couple of tables, but it was like neglected wasteland. And not well, I mean, the landscaping had just been done, so that looked really nice. It was like you have this whole patio you're doing nothing with.
Right.
And when John said a beer garden would be fun, I was like, I'm in, because our wedding, when I got married, it was a beer garden wedding. So I'm like, I got that. That's good. My mom would be proud. And so the picnic tables made sense, the umbrellas, the lighting, and that beer pong table was awesome. I loved it. We wanted it to be fun, and John wanted it to be exciting. You know, you want to be in either space. It's going to be cold in the winter, so it would probably close down. But so the picnic tables can handle that, and
But that's good because that's more money for them as well.
Exactly. I was astounded when I first heard about the numbers on additional seating because you don't think about it.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Just like, oh, it's just a chair. No, it's a lot of money.
Here's the employees learning about all of this. That's space. That's like real estate.
It's real estate.
That can bring in money,
which I never thought about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's amazing if you just put even 8 tables.
Yeah.
Just 8 tables. You wouldn't think of it, but it's amazing what you can get even in one night. One night of just putting 8 tables, 4 tops in. It's like you can get $2,000 to $5,000.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's just nuts. Now you were talking about having the budget, and you have to stay within budget.
Yes.
With J.A. Murphy's, I'm going to bring that up because you were talking about you had to redo the structure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a scary situation.
I can't see how you kept in budget with that.
Well, that's something you'll have to talk to the show about. There's
got to be some exception.
I think there was probably some insurance that went on that because that was a structure we didn't really have anything to do with.
Right.
And we had to take care of a situation in the cooler and sent some people in ahead of time, and that's why we didn't discover those joists until they were spray painted, to hold mold out because there was a leak and things like that. And oh man, when Mike Carpenter and art department coordinator, they came up to me and they said, I want to show you something. And I went under. I'm like, oh no.
Right.
Oh no. And so we shared that.
Well, it would have.
And I kept thinking
would have broken.
I kept thinking of the volume of people, not just a fridge going across.
Right.
But when the Golden Gate Bridge had its anniversary, it was wall-to-wall people, and the engineers called and said, the arch in the bridge has flattened. We'd never built it to withstand that much weight. And I was thinking, this bar is going to have wall-to-wall people all the way across it, and it is compromised. Absolutely compromised.
Well, if that could have broke without hurting anybody, I'm just saying, that would have made good.
Oh, that would have been incredible TV.
But
no, I didn't want to be part of it, and I didn't want to be under it either.
Right.
Yeah, no.
My mom was not happy I went under it. I'm like, well, it's held up this long. Nobody dug in it.
Yeah, nobody was standing on top at that time.
Right. I would never go under it if it was a full bar. You crazy. Plus, it was kind of creepy and ghosty cool, so I love going into spaces like that. That's how I ended up under there in the first place. All right, that's another show.
That's my cup of tea. I'm going under.
Hey,
Oh, well, I liked the reveal, like when they, again, I think I've already made it, the name, whatever, when they revealed the name and then they were all standing outside. You come from Kitchen Nightmares and Extreme Makeover, and you were making the comment that when that truck left, it was like Extreme Makeover.
It had an extreme feel to it, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, you just check the credits, you see who's involved.
They were all, right? They all seemed, I mean, the employees, the staff, gosh, I mean, you felt their warmth the entire show.
Yeah, and John wanted them to have a really special reveal because of that community and because of how invested they were. And let's face it, firefighters are heroes. And you always want to take care of a hero. And I think
that's a pretty tight community.
Oh, very much so. Small town, cares about the community, cares about the employees. And so something grand like that, that's right in their wheelhouse was cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Do you like the new name?
Public House? I do like Public House. I like the Black Sheep Public House, actually. That's what I do like. Because now, especially more so now, knowing the whole story, it means so much more.
And see, they didn't say that on the show.
No, because they talked about black sheep and how black sheep is not a good thing.
Well, they were looking at the connotation of somebody who isn't aware of the backstory. However, the Public House, as John explained it to me, is the real word for pub. So that's the original name of pub, and he wanted to give them the original pub so that anybody in the community would say, yeah, there's this, there's that, there's this, but then there's the Public House, and that's the real deal.
Well, okay, and it does go with, I mean, they had original drinks.
Exactly.
And original, and they were the certified in
Guinness pours.
Which that's the only ones.
They're the only ones.
And their food is now, it's like.
So he wanted to give them an identity that was central to the community that everyone could understand.
Well, because Black Sheep makes sense too.
Yeah.
Most people look at Black Sheep and think it's the one that stands out of the crowd, and unfortunately, maybe not in the best way. But Public House is central, and everyone goes there. Yeah, that's what he wanted.
Second establishment. The second establishment that was ever made was a bar.
Yeah.
Before there was even a city hall, and so public officials, they would all go to the public house, and they would have their meetings and town hall. Yeah.
He wanted to give them the roots of the community because he felt like, I think that's what they brought to the table. They just need a little financial help and a little design help and a little chef help and a little pouring help and then they'd be all that.
See, okay, I like that now that I know the background, but it's like, are you going to explain that history?
Well, it gives them something to talk about when they walk through.
On the name.
After he tells them what happened with Ireland, he can say, and here's the story.
See, it does make sense now that I have that background.
Yeah, and that gives it history, and it gives it, it backs them up in time even farther than Scott was going with his name. So, me personally, I love the name. I think it's great. I also love that we were able that we were able to get to the original neon benders to rebend the sign. They did the sheep sign, so they rebent the sign for us because we thought it was such a cool sign. We didn't want to lose that because it would kind of, we didn't want to cheapen the exterior, and that was like an icon. So to do it all in the same format was really fun.
I liked it. Again, it was one of my favorite.
Good.
One of my favorite episodes.
Mine too. It really was probably one of my all-time favorite. That and I think Aura. As far as the experience, enjoying
they're both feeling ones
and
too.
They're very feeling ones, and I always bond to those. Coming from Extreme, you want to love these people, you want to help these people. It's all about giving back, and I felt really good about this. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any final? I have some. I do want to say something about the employee morale.
Okay.
I thought I really like when a company promotes from within. I mean, they don't have the means anyway to go out and hire a general manager, but just that it just boosts it. I mean, you know, you put those people out there, you give them that promotion, see if they can do it or not. If they can't, again, not every employee makes a good manager,
right?
But at least you're built. It's like they all have something that they're excited to come to work for and excited to be around those people, and you're creating that community.
And if they're worthy, their peers are going to like it too, and they're going to see potential for themselves to reach and grow more and aspire to be like their peers. Yeah,
agreed.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I really liked it. This episode, and as well as Aura.
Yeah.
Like
we obviously like the touchy-feely.
Yeah, we really do.
I do too.
And so you do every episode.
Yes.
From season 1 to 2 and
season 1 and 2, yes indeed. And
bless you, you are a talent.
I don't do it alone.
On so many levels, you and your crew, to get it done in the time span that you get it done, and for it to come out the way it does. I mean, really, every time we've been doing, since we've been doing the show, we really talk about that all that we really are. And it's when you see their faces, it's basically watching our faces when you see, because you're like, wow, you really, you know,
it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, going back to Pirates, but like we'll leave that one alone.
Referring to that one, always referring to that.
There's always got to, you know, you can't please everyone all the time, but you can try.
You can try, but you get. I'm going to tell you, I loved the way it looked.
I loved.
I thought it was great.
I know what was going on.
Are we on
Pirates? I was just going to tell her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to tell you I liked it.
We could have done any theme, anything, or made it lower key or not gone corporate, and I think it would have failed. She was ready for it to fail, and I can't argue for that. Yeah,
it wasn't there.
And that's it's sad because it's a business, and you love your business. And like last season, we did Blue Frog 22, and they really liked their toys. And telling them they had to get rid of their toys and the tears, I was like, oh come on, you know, I can say the same thing to my 10-year-old, and I won't get as many tears.
Right.
Because it's time to move on. You know, hey, we're a little older now, so you know.
Well, we obviously know that's hard. I mean, going back to Pirates again, we know that's hard to sometimes, you know, separate, I guess, yourself a little.
If you forget to look at what your patrons are looking for and what your public are looking for, you might lose sight of where your business is.
Right.
And then it becomes a personal thing, and how do you move forward with that? Because you can't force people to like a theme or a food or anything. If the community is not responding enough to sustain your business, then I think that's a sign.
Yes.
Time to change.
I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Definite sign.
Yeah, a big sign.
I don't know how. Well, and also, okay, so Dorinda, real quick, before we end this, I don't know if many of you knew, we forgot to do a shout out last week. Our moms were actually in the studio, and it wasn't planned. My mom was in town visiting. Dorinda's mom was in town visiting. But both of our moms were sitting here last week while we did the episode. So we want to give them a shout out because we thanked everybody for being here.
Yes.
Except them.
So thanks, Mom.
So yeah, thank you so much.
And thanks to my mom for having me.
Yes, right? I tweeted Nicole Taffer after that, and it was like, oh, our moms and your mom. And
everyone's mom.
So many moms.
It was great.
So they're proud of us. They loved it.
We had some great pictures, too.
Yes.
Those pictures. Stephanie Bauer, thank you.
Yes, I know. It's our mommies.
Gotta have your mommies.
I know.
Yep.
So that was a good episode.
Yes.
We're good. I want to remind everybody to definitely check out iTunes, download us, leave comments, and I think YouTube will be up here in just a little bit. But for now, you can go ahead and download on iTunes because it matters. So refer a friend, leave comments. I'm Kimlai, your host. You can follow me at Kimlai Yingling. Dorinda?
You can follow me at Lula Cherry Films.
And I'm Nancy. You can follow me at Art Nanners.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Scott, for calling in. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Oh, I had so much fun.
For coming.
Really fun.
Come back whenever you want.
I would love to.
Yes, whenever. Thank you to me. Thank you to Dorinda. We're so glad to be here with you guys tonight. This has been Season 2, Episode 6. Thank you so much, Marissa. Take us out.
Thank you.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz ya later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.